I feel like Mo, I gotta get you back on here because you gotta get back onto Alan and get on his back. But
100%.
anyways,
I'm down.
moving on to second aspect is community involvement. Obviously, 2020 has been was an interesting year for everybody, but still, you can see how active you've been in your community, and that's something that that's been consistent through your your teenage years and growing into your adulthood. So, what are some of the reasons that you choose to give back, and why do you think that's important?
Um, well, first of all, you gotta attribute some credit to I know it's your show, but you gotta attribute some credit to yourself as well, because you really gave before. Obviously, I was doing things alone, but this intensified so much this year with my involvement because of you giving us initiative and Sports Connect and just involved me in that. So thank you. But in terms of the reason, I think I've been blessed with a situation where I lived in one place in terms of like when I immigrated here to Canada, I came and we just lived in White Oaks, right? That's my neighborhood, and um, I've lived in one place, and I'm just a social person, so I met a lot of different people, and I saw a lot of different people's families and how they grew up and how my family came up as well. And just some of the simple struggles where, it was either like a lack of communication or a lack of, someone telling you where a resource is that made things so hard for my family and how we persevered through that. I was just like, it's something as easy as talking to somebody on the phone for 30 seconds, pointing them the direction of something or helping somebody out, move, whatever. There's so many little ways to help, but it's just when you see that impact, when you work in the community, when you see that impact, you go to the park and you see that kid that you taught, when I was 14 teaching a kid, he's 8 years old. Now he's come to White Oaks Park to hoop with us. That's the coolest thing in the world, man. You see somebody, I just think I love the aspect of seeing the direct impact of the work that we do. And really, really just not being a random volunteer, but actually doing what volunteering is supposed to be, caring for another person. I think that's the biggest thing for me and for why I've been able to do what I do in the community, right?
Hmm. No, I'm definitely with you there. It really giving back, you get something in return yourself that it's hard, you can't really quantify, and then you see, as you said, like the development and what it means to these individuals, and down the road, these are like the memories that we have of people like helping us when we were younger, and now it's like, hey, we can do the same thing, we have an opportunity. It's almost like not as much as an opportunity, but like a willingness, and it's like a duty. That's the word I'm like. It's like it feels like
Man,
a duty, but like not a job.
the
So
willingness part, I think that's the biggest one people don't focus on is like when you see someone helping you, when just for example, forget volunteering, but if you struggling or something, right, and you have to go and ask somebody to help you, you can right away tell if they're hesitant or if they're like, yeah, dude, like I'm there, I'm down to help you, whatever. It's you see that right away. That's the initial point of contact. It always shows. But when you really volunteer, like when you really really are enjoying what you do and you see the bigger picture of what you're doing outside of the just that small point of contact, you see that the long-term effect that this can have on somebody, even if it's insignificant to you. I think that's where that the willingness comes in, and it makes a big impact, makes a big difference in terms of their reception of you, right?
mhm.
So I think that's a big
So
part.
with that down the road, do you? I know you've been inspired by one of your head coaches at Westminster.
I was gonna bring them up. I was gonna bring. I have to.
So yeah, yeah. So are you gonna try to emulate that down the road? And
Man,
is Westminster basketball in for a dynasty in the future?
first
Yo,
and
this guy,
foremost,
yo, he's grooming. He's grooming his
bro.
kid.
First and foremost, shout out for Ross Hayek, the Hood Pope, the absolute like goat. I'm telling you, this guy has done so much for the White Oaks community, and I mean that. I mean that in a monetary way. I mean that in a spiritual friendship. Like that guy cultivated something that no one, I don't think anybody in my lifetime I don't think I'll ever see something like that. I don't understand how he does it, and that's I just try to be even half the person that he's been to me in my life, and he's been to how many people in this community. You know what I mean? But definitely Westminster, or wherever I choose to help out.
Take my
Coaching is definitely
chance.
something I'm set on coaching somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I think I want to win. I'm a competitive dude, and I think I could, you know, make a difference in whatever team, whatever situation you give me. I want to be that Cam Newton on the coach though, on the coaching side though.
Can't do that.
One man team, but be a coach.
Okay, I gotta say though, yeah, no, I think, yeah, Mo, you're talking about like it's really touching because I feel like that's that's a big thing when it comes to volunteering. It's important to like help out as much as you can and like set a right example. I feel like Bleska's a really good role model through the initiative and just providing all these opportunities to other people. For you too, Mo, just hearing about how someone that you helped when they were younger is now just like bawling out with you, man. Like it's touching. You know, you build that connection with these people. Bleska just and you talking about becoming a coach. I want to see this one day. I want to see your games. I want to see how you player develop. Let's see if you're like a Belichick or even a uh, maybe you'll be a Steve Nash, man. I don't even know. Like
We'll
uh,
see.
coach of the year. But I wanna ask you, yeah, when it comes to like community involvement and just volunteering in general, like how has that helped you like grow as a person? Like
Oh
what is the
my,
biggest takeaway for you? Like I know like people have done it to you. You've seen it through that one guy from Westminster. Like how
bro.
have you been touched?
So man, though, you know what's crazy? You wanna know what aspect volunteering that thing's helped me with the most? It's business.
Okay.
Seriously. When you volunteer, you bring value to somebody. I mentioned this earlier. Bringing value, it's important. When you volunteer, you bring value to people at no cost, at no expectation whatsoever, right? So when you make that your personality, or you make that something that's ingrained in your head, when you start to do business, you always look at which way I can bring the most value and which way I can receive the most value as well, right? You start to measure things instead of in a monetary way, or instead of like in a commitment way, into how much, what am I being brought in terms of value. How is this gonna help me in my personal mission? How am I gonna be able to help them in their personal mission? It's not really necessarily about having the highest dollar or being the most flashy, whatever. It has a lot to do with marketing, and it has a lot to do with bringing value. And I think a lot of people that start businesses early, they don't catch on to that because they're always looking just at their bottom line, right? They're always looking at how am I going to benefit, or what can I do so I can benefit, right? Without really understanding that it's a two-way path. The more you benefit somebody else, the more you're going to benefit yourself in a lot of cases, right? So I think that's the most. It helped me the most with business, and now other things too as well. But business for sure is one thing I don't really
Mm.
talk about that has helped me with a lot too.
Okay.
That's a good take.
Yeah. So before we go to our deeper question and OT, Mo, so I wanted to ask you about how like your volunteering experience has been altered by the current like world events. Have you been able to make the most of it and make the same impact? And how have you been like seeing other ways to make a difference? Like I know that you and Bleska, I see you guys on Instagram, on Facebook of your shoe drives and stuff, but yeah, just let me like open the door and tell me about that. Like, how has your volunteering experience been
So,
different, or where's the areas of growth? And yeah,
so how was it changed and everything? Yeah. So the one thing that's definitely like it's changed, but I don't know if I would call it a bad change actually. So we started off the year. We had a couple in person like events that we had to cancel right off the bat. We were really excited for a couple basketball ones, a couple soccer ones. We had to cancel them, right? And that was a pretty big blow in terms of morale and everything, because we were just on a roll, and we were ready to go. We had a new member in our team. We were just excited to crush. Then that happened, but I think the biggest adjustment is we found out how to reach people's needs, like kind of just you're not able to see people in person, right? So you're not able to ask. So what we did, what Valeska and them did also is, message a lot of these organizations, asking if they still need donations. So the asking if they, how we can help. The big thing people forget about these volunteer opportunities and everything, being gone because of COVID, is that those people that are receiving those services, they don't disappear, right? And at the end of the day, because these events aren't happening, because say, the soup kitchen that used to happen every Wednesday outside of the church, I know that, I saw them for a while. They were shut down. They weren't doing it as much. There's a lot of things that services are not available as much. So we just started looking at it as like, this is just another opportunity for us to, you know, go ahead and show people that, we're ready to, not say risk, but we're ready to work, 10 times harder, just so we can still provide help for you guys as volunteers, as people that care about, everybody else going through this pandemic, right? And just one last thing as well is that it helped us. Like Bleska made a good point. I was really on the side of, hey, we should just shut everything down and start back up when everything comes down. And Bleska said to me, well, Mo, like every other business, volunteer place, whatever, they're all, in the same situation. And we still see action from some of them as well. So it's kind of like you have to adapt and learn how to go. You have to, and he put that, he actually, I'll give him specifically, it was just a meeting we were talking about. He's like, we can either freeze all this or we can adapt and go. 'Cause my biggest thing was just people's perception. I was scared,
Mhm.
parents, COVID, this and that. But
Yeah.
Blessed said, like, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do it regardless. Like, if you still want this to happen, if we want this volunteer thing to happen, and I'm glad you did, because I think it was a critical point of Sports Connect at that point. I don't even know if Sports Connect would still be a thing if you had not pushed this forward at that point, because we're in a long limbo. But you just gave us that final push. And those people need help, regardless of what's happening in the world. Take your precautions, but still, we need to help. We still need to help. They need help even more than we did. And imagine your situation amplified 10 times worse,
Hmm.
right? That's
Hmm.
how I think about it.
With all this isolation, it's really easy to to think about solely yourself, but
Me, yeah.
you don't really you're not living in their shoes because you don't know how hard this could be hitting someone else's. Like, you might think about it once in a while, but you're not living through it. So everything that was every hole that you had in the past has been attenuation, like bigger to
Extenuated.
bigger. It's like deeper. It's like just amplified, pretty much. Everything that was wrong before has been amplified. So having being able to adapt and weave our way through something positive in 2020 was really what I wanted to be able to do, because it's stressful time, and it was nice to be able to have a positive outcome out of it. But Alan, did you hear that?
What was that?